Good morning. Again. I have got to stop these impromptu sleepovers at your place. I always wake up feeling absolutely awful. No offense. Maybe next time we just plan ahead. Okay, Look, I realize I said about 1,000,000 I'm sorry's last night, but now I'm also sorry about the whole, crying myself to sleep in your arms thing. I'm embarrassed, but thank you for that, just holding me as I fell apart a little bit. You really didn't have to, and nobody would have blamed you if you wanted nothing to do with me right now. Yeah, well, as much as I feel guilty, I also think that I haven't felt that sorry for myself since the day, since the day I was bitten. But now that I have my head out of my own problems, how are you? That was kind of a huge revelation last night, and I know from experience how it can mess with your head. So, you okay? That's a relief. Thank you. Yeah, if you really want to hear about it, I think it's the least I can do, considering, everything. No, that's okay. I can talk about it. I think I can talk about it. I've never actually had this conversation with anyone before, so I can't promise it will be linear or the most polished story, or that I'll get through it without getting angry, but, yeah, I can tell you. But, can we do this with caffeine first? Oh, you really already have it. You really are a healer, aren't you? And a psychic to boot. I thought the coffee would have bought me about 10 more minutes, so let me think about where to begin here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, the beginning is a good start. So, I mentioned last night that I had an ex that didn't end well. I think you can see where I'm going with this. Oh, look at you, not just a pretty face. Yes, he was the one who did it. Yeah, well, I didn't know when I first got together with him. Actually, we were living together for a while, and I still had no clue. Looking back, there were signs. I knew he had mood swings, and he'd get grouchy for a few days before, and he went on overnight trips like once a month and came home exhausted, but it never occurred to me that it was always around the full moon, and I'm sure I wouldn't have thought anything of it if I'd noticed. Like, who thinks that? Well, actually, you kind of thought it, didn't you? You suspected that I wasn't quite a normal wolf or woman. Anyway, I wasn't as astute. I don't know how long it would have taken him to tell me if I hadn't spotted his car by a camping trailhead when he was supposed to be away on business. I assumed he was having an affair because he was lying to me about where he was and he was spending overnights, and so he came clean and told me about his, I don't even know what to call it. If it's a curse or an infection or just a condition, I don't know. To this day, I don't know, but he told me. No, actually, I wasn't afraid at all. I mean, we'd dated for over a year, and we'd been living together for months by then. I knew he wasn't the best boyfriend in the world, but he'd never been violent, much less turned into a monster or tried to eat me or anything, so I wasn't afraid of him. I had a lot of questions for him. I'm sure you can relate. And I learned that when he went on his, like, quote-unquote business trips, that was when he was due to shift. He would go out to a national forest and camp during his, that time of the month, and just have fun hunting rabbits and deer and howling at the moon, both literally and figuratively. Oh no, he wasn't keeping himself away from people. He was keeping people away from him. I mean, can you imagine what would happen if somebody spotted a wolf in the suburbs? Yeah. So he was in control the whole time, so far as I know. I mean, I always am when I shift. Yeah, you caught on to that. You're right, it was no accident when he bit me. I suppose that is shocking. It shocked me at the time. I mean, in retrospect, there were signs, but... Oh, he'd be a little jealous and controlling, but after he told me about his condition, it was, like, turned up. When I'd call him out on it, he'd say things like, "Don't act like you don't know what I am," or "You chose to stay with a monster." It's just, he would get self-pitying about it. And it wasn't like that ever explained away any need for him to be decent. I mean, he hadn't been that bad before, he told me. Before he had this excuse he could shove in my face. And you know what? Actually, to my shame, I kind of thought it did excuse what he did, how he behaved. I felt bad for him, and I figured maybe the condition made him like that. But it only took a few months of it for me to realize that I couldn't live like that, and that he wasn't ever going to change for the better. So I decided to move out. And that's when I was scared, a little. I mean, I didn't think he'd hurt me, but I knew he could berate me for hours on end if he was on a roll. Our lease was coming up, so I waited until the new moon to tell him that I was going to get my own place. I thought that might put him in the best frame of mind to hear it. And he was, or he seemed to be. I mean, we stayed up all night talking and arguing and going in circles about why we were breaking up, but he wasn't like, I don't know, he wasn't irrational or menacing or anything. So I paid out my half of the rent for the remainder of the lease, and I went to my parents. He had time to find a new place or a new roommate. I thought we were all good. And a month and a half later, I was in my new place, and I definitely should not have given him my new address. Yeah, that was stupid on my part. That was a stupid thing. I don't know what I was thinking. I was coming home late from visiting friends. I never even heard him come up behind me. I was between my car and the front door, just like walking one moment, and the next, boom, I'm knocked on the ground, and there was this wolf attached to my leg. And it was so quiet. I mean, I was stunned, I think. I'd never seen him as a wolf, but I knew it had to be him because, what are the odds? But I was so stunned, I didn't even recognize that I was being bitten. I thought somehow he'd tripped and fallen onto me. He never growled. He just bit. And he held on to my leg as I just gaped at him. And he looked at me with my leg in his mouth, and then he just whined a little bit like, this is hurting me more than it hurts you kind of thing. And the pain hadn't reached my brain yet, but that whine went straight to my brain and pissed me off. I pulled back and I just kicked him again and again with my other leg. But his teeth were sunk into me, so that was not a good idea. And he didn't let go. He just held on to me until he'd fully drooled onto the bite and made sure to lick me for good measure before letting me go. Oh, no. Yeah, no, I didn't tell anyone. No. Have you seen how people talk about werewolves? Okay, you've got the people who don't believe, which is the majority. If I told someone and they were one of those non-believers, at best, I look like a harmless crackpot, and at worst, I'm institutionalized for my delusions. And then there are the people who do believe, and they think we all need to be hunted down and killed to save the world from our curse. And then finally, there are those who believe or they want to believe, and they take a less than wholesome interest in us, like kind of a weird interest in us. So, yeah, I kept my mouth shut. I just went to the doctor. I got stitched up for a dog bite, and I was treated to a round of rabies shots that I knew I didn't need. That bastard had the cannonballs to show up at my new place the next day and try to talk to me. He said he was sorry, but now I had to be with him because nobody else would want to be with a werewolf, and that I would need his guidance. Oh, no. I told him that it was okay. I'd be okay because my last relationship showed me that there were worse fates than being single forever. So, yeah, that's it. That's my, monster origin story. I mean, hey, still a better love story than Twilight, right? Oh, well, yes and no. I tried locking myself up inside for the first shift when I didn't know what to expect, and I quickly learned that it's really uncomfortable to be cooped up when you feel like hunting. There's just not enough room in a house to burn off all the restless energy. And then there is the noise. It's not a pleasant sound, and I can't help but vocalize the discomfort of changing, so I was worried about the neighbors hearing. Well, it's never comfortable, but it's also never been as bad as the first time either. I can get through it. A little grunt, a little growl, and now it happens a lot faster, so now it's not so bad. I ended up just taking a cue from my ex and went out to nearby parks and forests. I never ran into him, but it was always a concern, so between that and my company cracking down on the remote work, I figured might as well live somewhere that I can just step outside my house and have lots of safe, out-of-the-way woods to play in. Oh, and, that's how I came to meet you. I mean, well, not meet you properly, but it's how I came to see you while I was shifted. I'm sorry if that's creepy that I visited you like that. You spoke to me. And your voice was nice and kind, and I thought you were really charming to talk to a random animal from the forest. You weren't afraid. You weren't trying to scare me off. You were just chatting and being, honestly, kind of cute. And then, I visited you again and you did the same thing. And I wanted to introduce myself in between, but I didn't know how. And especially after I grabbed your chickens, I knew I had to find a way to start a conversation with you and figure out a way to make it right, but I didn't know how to meet you. Oh, no. Actually, no, that day was actually a coincidence. I really did go walking through the woods pretty regularly, so when I saw you, I just figured it was a good opportunity to talk to you without, hanging around the edge of your property like I'd been doing. Yeah, I was a little concerned when I realized that you were hunting me. You'd been so nice before. I didn't think you'd come after a wolf for, doing wolf things, but I get it. Sorry, you know what? Enough of that. Soon I'll be back to saying how bad I feel, and you'll be back in the ridiculous position of comforting me for having eaten your pets. So let's not do that. Change of subject. Let's see. Oh, I know. Enough about me. I've been calling you Dr. Hunter, but I don't actually know what kind of doctor you are. You're kidding me. Seriously? A vet. Yeah, that checks out. Okay, so now it's your turn. I told you how I came to be a werewolf. You tell me how you came to be a vet. Is that what you always wanted to do? Oh my God, were you one of those adorable little kids who would put bandages on their teddy bear? You were, weren't you? Ah, that is so cute. Okay, you know what? Put a pin in that. I am listening. More coffee? No. You sit. I'll grab it. Go ahead. You talk. I'm listening. Go. Yeah, I can picture that. I really enjoy reading these scripts. If you like listening to them, I hope you'll like and subscribe. And if there's something you'd like to hear more of, please leave a comment and let me know. Thanks, and take care until next time.